hear me? Test. And there we are. Welcome to God Chat.
Hello,
How are you,
everybody.
honey?
Welcome. I'm good. Larissa just texted me.
Yeah, my food is going to be here in the middle of the show. That's going to be crazy.
Oh, man.
It's all right. We'll figure it out. God is great.
He is amen to that.
Yeah. So, did you catch the topic for tonight's show?
That's all I say. What
What
G?
Jesus thinks about all you losers, all you dirt bags, all you weirdos, all you freaks.
That's a terrible thing. Do
Really?
you?
What does Jesus think about them?
I think that he loves them all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you think?
I do.
So the classic cliche, love the sinner, hate the sin, does that apply?
Yes, I believe so.
So how do we balance that in life?
Daily, sometimes in momentary actions and decisions.
Good answer, daily. I like that. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
It's a struggle. And I thought it was interesting because today I was in a particular mental box and I was very frustrated by some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking what I thought about all these losers and all these jerks and all these dirtbags.
Right.
And it was almost like the Lord was whispering in my ear, yeah, but how do I feel about them? And like it kind of melted me because he loves them all. He died for all of us, including me, Mr. Judgmental, Mr. One Finger Out, Four Fingers Back.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. God puts us through our loops so we learn things, but today that was really the only thing that I felt God focusing on with
Yeah.
me was just,
Mm-hmm.
we're all human. We all screw up. We're all dirt bags.
Yep.
Um,
We are for sure.
the thing
So.
is, we can seek to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that those who are walking a righteous path should
Mm-hmm.
necessarily dive into the pool of gluttony and sin, because we all know that's not the answer. A little yeast infects the whole dough. But
This is true.
there's a fine line there that I think we often forget totally.
There is, and that is we forget because we are living life. And I think that's what happens. I think that we get into um, our daily kind of routine and our daily stuff, wherever it might be, um, and we get sidetracked easily. We are the sheep. We are not bright people sometimes.
So to all of you in the chat, I see Lorenzo. Hang on, I'm going to bounce through real quick. Hey, brother. There's Jaden. Hello, Jaden.
I know we can't
Stream it
stream
to
until
1 a.m.
1
I wish we could, but yeah, we won't be quite that long.
a.m.
Dylan Nelson, hello. Okay, so that's something we can talk about, but it's not so much about supporting gays anymore. You know what I'm saying? That is a worldly thing, and it kind of comes down to this. And this is how I have to deal with it. Number one, ooh, bless you, honey. That was a sneeze and a half. Revelation 22:11, I think it is, basically says, let he who is holy be holy, let he who is righteous be righteous, let he who is not continue to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that takes off a lot of stress. Don't worry about it. Well, why am I not worrying about it? Jesus said the only sin that was unforgivable in this world and the next is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. Now,
Mm-hmm.
experts will argue all day long about what that is, but most will agree that it's almost impossible to do. And so, therefore, I don't worry about it that much. It's not a common thing. So, gays, homosexuals are an abomination to the Lord. We've read it in the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus has come for all of us to save us.
Mm-hmm.
Homosexuality is no different than, well, it's different, don't get me wrong, but sin is sin. If you're an adulterer, if you're a masturbator watching porno, if you Just look at women in lust. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
category.
Exactly.
Um, so, I mean, before we start pointing fingers and talk about who we do and do not support, let's just start thinking about individuals, I think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a time and a place to get upset with them, maybe during Pride Day while they dance and, well, that's an interesting picture. It looks like me. Uh, maybe pride parades when they're I think that is me actually. Maybe pride
Oh
parade.
yeah.
Did you
It's
see
just
it?
somebody. Yeah, that is you. I
Yeah,
think.
it looks like me. It looks like me at a convention.
Uh huh.
Well, flattery, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Thank you.
I love
Um,
it.
well, what are you gonna say, right? Uh, yeah, amen, Rick. Sometimes we are all jerks. But I named it. If you're a longtime Christian, particularly if you're like in any sort of ministry,
Mm-hmm.
I put that name up because it's an obvious clickbait. I wanted to talk about how Jesus does love us all.
Right.
But if you say what Jesus really thinks about you losers, there's going to be somebody that comes in and says, damnation in hell and hellfire. Jesus came to
Mm-hmm.
save, not to condemn. The time for condemning will come, and it may even be real soon. I mean, I know a lot of us look at it and say we're in the end times, and we might be.
Mm-hmm.
But until I know for sure, I'm still going to try to be what Jesus told us to be:
Well,
loving,
yeah.
kind, compassionate, forgiving. That's a tough one for me too, and it's tough for everybody. Forgiving is a real pain in the butt.
Mm.
Uh, okay, let's bounce through a
True
couple more.
forgiving.
We are the best humans ever. Well, I don't know that I can argue that because the human race, Jesus loves us all. So yeah, collectively we probably are the best ever. I mean, we have technology, we have spirituality if we choose to follow the Lord. There's all sorts of things out there. Uh, yes, brother, that's Terry. To err is human, and to forgive is divine. Uh, hello, Fortnite gamer of the muffins. I love some of these names.
I
Um,
know, right?
do we hate feminine? Who? Okay, so wait a minute. The only thing I can say to that is we shouldn't hate people. Uh, it's one thing to hate ideology, but what you do with that hatred is very important. Like it's so easy to look at, say, someone like Brie Larson and say, bad woman, bad. But she's just another person who's, stuck in this same journey. Uh, the Lord is crying out to her just as loudly as he is to you and to me and to everybody else. So honestly, I would hesitate hating anybody like that. The only people I kind of have to say I do hate, and I do hope the Lord forgives me if this is a sin, but I absolutely hate child molesters, and I hate people that sexually oppress others. The whole sex thing just ticks me off. Oh yeah, yeah, I do, Lorenzo. And you know what? The shame is this nation mocked him for that, and he was really doing the right thing there. He was publicly confessing a weakness, trying to demonstrate how to get out of it. Uh, so let's keep going a little bit down. You know what? To look in lust, brother. What do you think? Or maybe sister. I don't know. I think you're a brother, Dylan. It says Dylan, but that's another thing that confuses me is the transgender stuff. So I don't know who's what. I'm going to assume you're a he because of your name, but I could be wrong, and I apologize if that's the case. Porn, yeah, I would say porn is definitely bad on a multi-level thing because most of the people in porn, they might be there voluntarily, but it's not like their chosen lifestyle. Most of them are miserable emotionally. And I think you can understand why if you think about it. If everybody knows what you look like, when you do it, how you do it, and it's not even really you, it's an act, that would tear apart a person's soul. And I think you see that in a lot of them that crash and burn. Now, there is a callousness that is developing in that industry where people survive it, but I would definitely say it's not a very good.
Mm.
If you were going to be on film, you'd much rather do, rated G movies than rated X
X
movies, in my
movies.
opinion.
I
Don't
agree.
you think?
I do agree. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a fan of that.
Well, I mean, if Hollywood came to me and said, "Chris, you're so awesome, dude. We want to offer you $5 million, but we only have two films that we want you to pick one. You can either do the rated G, walking around penguins in the summer on the South Pole, or you can do porn." I'm going to choose the rated G. I'm going to go walk with penguins. And it's not because I don't love sex. It's because I love my wife. I love my Lord. I love my family. I love my integrity. All that stuff gets eaten up in porn, I think, in my opinion. Do you support games like, you know what? That's kind of funny because that is one of those cliches. I've played and loved shooters and video games and zombie battles that look demonic and wrestling games that, yeah, kick his, and I will tell you that the holiest of holies in me says, yeah, that's not Christ-like. So I should be against it. But I have allowed myself transgressions in that area. And I've gone so far as to even justify it, like get on Xbox Live and you're shooting down people and you're being as badass as you can be, but yet you're going to mutter a few verses every now and then. That was my way of trying to make it work. It never did. And to
Yeah.
be honest, now when I play video games, football or something silly like that, like right now, when I'm not drawing, I will play like a couple of rounds of Retro Bowl on iOS. It's very much like Tecmo Bowl, but for the flick generation of iPads. I haven't heard the interview, Lorenzo, but I'll bet you it's interesting. Now, admittedly, Carter is not one of my favorite presidents, but it has nothing to do with his spirituality. I think he did the very best he could. Yeah, we're gonna put it on. I'm waiting for Dianna to give me the cue, and I'm bouncing down here. Is sweating a holy risen. Uh,
What is sweating a holy risen supportation or bow? I don't even understand that
yeah, that one
question.
I missed. I missed that one totally. Hey, Lorenzo, where are you located on social media? Because I'm going to be honest, I don't want to put the.
We're going to do invite only to chat. So we're going to invite Lorenzo. So do you want him to send the link to Facebook or some other means
Or Twitter.
or Twitter?
I
Yeah.
can send him a tweet.
Oh, yeah. Send it to his Twitter, I bet.
I bet I'm going to send it to his Twitter anyways, because like he sends me links there.
Yeah. And Terry, too, if you wanted to pop in. I don't know if he's still here. And Rick, people we know, we tend to
Yeah,
invite on the
we're
show.
we're we're and it's not that we're
Twitter, he said.
all right. I'm working on it, guys. I'm a slow boomer.
Lorenzo, that is very true. I've read the same thing that violent games can be helpful for people with PTSD. Isn't that crazy? You would think that would not be, but
No, because it helps get it out. And in the same way people argue porno can be good,
hmm
it's just porno isn't just so porno isn't just a one person thing. Hang on. You know what I mean by that? Like
yeah,
a video game, you're shooting people who are playing a game and they understand the expectations and what's going to happen and it's all set up. Porno, you're watching people perform and it's affecting them, like
right.
personally. They're not it's almost like picture if they were taking the bullets that you were shooting because that's pretty
hmm
much what's happening in my opinion spiritually.
Right.
um, hey, I got to talking, so hang on, I got to go back over here and send
I was
that
going to
message.
say, did you send him the link?
No, sorry, bro.
He said he did say Twitter, by the way.
Oh, I did send it. I think I'm going to send it again just to make sure. Yep, I just sent
That's
it twice.
true. That's true, Rick. There was a lot of warring in the Bible. So warring, you know, isn't necessarily
Well,
wrong.
and Jesus, and this is funny because I've argued for and against this, but Jesus, he said, he had disciples get swords.
hmm
The thing that's unique about that to me is I believe there were 11 disciples there at that time because Judas had gone off,
hmm
and two were sufficient for 11. So there is a need to defend and have a force available to
Yeah.
defend. but sometimes I have questioned the amount of defense that we truly want to partake in. And to give you just a golden example, in my opinion, a lot of the people who arm up are very brave and honorable, but I wonder what they're going to be able to do if the military truly came down on them.
Mm.
Rifles, even automatic weapons. It's going to be tough. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it got to you, brother, but welcome.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Lorenzo and Rick. Rick
Hey.
of
Hello,
Cross
hello.
Comics.
Yeah, I sent Rick and Terry the link.
Thank you,
Thank
Lorenzo.
you so much, sir.
Yeah, I figured that was okay since you said you were going to.
Because he was a snail in sending it. I get it.
Yeah,
God.
I don't give people the link unless
We know them, yeah.
Yeah, Dianna was on air. She was like,
well, I wouldn't even give it to somebody I know if if you didn't want them to have it,
Right.
because people have done that before, and sometimes I end up with like too many people on my panel, so people have done that on my show, and it's like, well, that person's cool, but maybe but now
so
I got
do you guys have any thoughts on what Jesus thinks about losers?
Well, as you said, he does love them. Yeah, he doesn't necessarily like them, and although I would say sometimes you have to tell them off, tell them, wait, the Pharisees were jerks quite a bit, and he told them off, told them how it was.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to intellectually just shut people down because he knew the truth. He could look at their hearts and just say, I know what to say.
Is someone truly a loser if they're created in the image of God?
Well, they are if they deny it. They are if they don't embrace it, I think. And the fact is, we're all kind of losers in that sense. It's not like the title is kind of misleading because it kind of sounds like I'm saying I'm on some soapbox. But that's the whole point of this. We're all like, not so great. Thank you, dear. I was going to get up and get my dinner, but it's been delivered by our daughter, Larissa. Thank you, ma'am.
Surprise.
And it's so unhealthy that I won't even show you guys. How's that? It's very unhealthy. I'm not going to pull a George here.
Well, it's a
Or
late.
a Dianna.
What?
Well, you're famous for making food noises.
I'm trying to be so quiet.
I can't hear it tonight. You're doing really good.
Thank you. I haven't. Everything is cold now because I haven't taken a bite because, I'm trying.
See, Lorenzo, my hope is that somehow with all this drama going on, and you know what I'm talking about, we don't need to drum that up, but
oh boy,
that people could find forgiveness and love and just realize.
Yeah, I get confused because there's always something new. There's something just the other day, just like yesterday or the day before that started, so and I don't even understand it.
What I don't understand, and I'm going to be honest for anybody listening, I don't understand when people who are brothers and sisters, one day they're united and it's a love fest, and then one sense of offense and it's all over. Oh my gosh, that person, I knew it all along. That person's a bad person, and we gotta shut them down. And don't get me wrong, I'm just as guilty of it with certain people, but I don't want to be.
I think at one point in time I had like hundreds of people blocked on Twitter, and I was like, and then but that's because I think when there were people putting like sex toys on other people's images, and okay, you can if you want to do that to like an image of an altrusion or a sleaze, whatever, that's fine. It's just when people were doing that to my friends, it was like,
You know what? I remember getting really offended about that. And then I started to think about it, and letting that offend me made me weaker for it. And what I mean by that is when I happened to see it, I just stopped worrying about it. It's like, whatever.
Well, it got to the point where I was like blocking people for like, because I would get in these arguments with people, and it's like, it seemed like there were more and more and more people I was blocking. It wasn't just like the people who who were doing this, it was like maybe their supporters, and then maybe remember there was a time when EVS was friends with those people, and then so then I'd be like, well, if you're an EVS supporter, then you're supporting the war campaign, you know. It was like I got to the point where it's like I had hundreds of people blocked, and then
Or you just
and then
sometimes you get into situations where
yeah.
you'll have a friend who keeps sharing something that you just don't want to see. And I have a rule. I adopted a rule from our friend Testify not to block people. So the alternative is to mute them. And so I've muted people who I otherwise would have blocked, so I don't have to, like get upset by their posts.
Well, sometimes, so yeah, I was blocking people who weren't even necessarily doing anything bad. It's just maybe they were a supporter of somebody, and I was getting, and it's like, well, that's kind of a paranoid way of operating. So I unblocked probably hundreds of people that I had blocked. I mean, so on the other hand, I did do that after that whole thing with EVS and the war campaign. Kind of, I don't know exactly what happened, but they went their separate ways. I think EVS kind of threw them under the bus, actually. But
well,
I
think they finally attacked EVS for something or other, and of course,
well, I think maybe it was like they did something as far as like that Star Wars girl Dianna, but I don't want to rehash all that stuff. My point is that
the thing about evil hearts and evil intent is groups with that sort of mindset will always end up eating each other. It's just a matter of time.
And the thing is, though, they thought they were, but there are plenty of people who thought they were like defending the comic book fandom by like putting dildos on people's pictures. And again, that part wasn't probably the.
But in their own mind, they probably were. Like I have to always try to remember that. Like sometimes I'm a jerk, and sometimes they can be. Now they went way beyond anything I would ever do.
Yeah.
But deep down, like I'm like as dark as the insults are. That comes from a soul that has to have darkness. You know what I mean? And you guys actually made me aware of that again through one of those. I think it might have even been you that said it, Lorenzo, when you said that I didn't name Cluster Fudge Cluster F word. I just named it Cluster Fudge. Like, or maybe it was Jace. Somebody said, you couldn't even go all the way with the name. It's because my heart isn't that dark, like it's not able to draw that out. And somebody who can draw that much pain out, that much darkness, they have it there for a reason. Because
the dude actually calls up a suicide hotline to get advice, but not, against it. You know what I'm saying? There is an ad where the guy, and I want to be very careful if anybody is suicidal. Probably don't want to listen to this next part. But didn't you have an ad where the character calls up a suicide hotline to try to find advice about how to go through with committing suicide?
Yeah, that's why it was in the book, though, or in the ad, because it's in the book.
Yeah. I mean, so that's to me, that's much darker than like a name referring to the sex act. I mean, is it like the first commandment? One of the first commandments?
You're losing me.
What I'm saying is you are concerned about like using the F word, yet you get a character who's like trying to commit suicide. I mean.
Oh yeah, well that's because
that's much darker than using the F word, in my opinion. For me, the F word.
And I mean that's why it's a mature book, but
yeah.
I'm still going to bring myself to name it that. Like I couldn't have like even with the like I guess Alterna has it, but with the symboled letters and for cluster F word, they have one like that.
Oh, they already have one like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, the thing is, unfortunately, suicide happens in real life, and Chris, I haven't read the book, so he was probably just trying to deal with it in some way. I'm not sure whether your hero would have save the
actually,
person or whatever, you know. So
one of the biggest parts of the story in the book is that this guy cannot kill himself, and he's trying to because he wants to join his wife on the other side. At least a few pages are dedicated to the different ways he tried to kill himself, though it's not done in a morbid like they
caution.
don't. I don't want to say it's like, okay, first he sits down with a pistol and it doesn't work. You
No,
actually
no,
see
no. It's nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, heck, in the Canadian Shield #1, Canadian Shield saved somebody who's trying to commit suicide. So,
Yeah, I see. It wasn't like really advocating it.
yeah.
Well, the storyline in the Cluster Fudge book though has a lot of moral stuff in it. So it's not like, right, Chris, when you say there's these moral dilemmas that he's got to come across on a regular basis, and he
Well,
overcomes them.
I guess you're
say that
saying
one
there's
more
a difference
time.
between like
Turn up
so.
the speaker.
Would you say, Chris?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you couldn't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I said in the Cluster Fudge comic, yes, it speaks about he's trying to end his life because he's so low down and all of that, but it doesn't. It's a quick little dialogue. It's not right. Don't you think? It's not like he's focused on suicide.
Well, if you
is he?
understand what's going on, you can see the suicide, but that's what I mean. It's not like we tell it in words. If you look at the pictures, though,
Mhm.
you'll
Yeah.
see the many ways he tried to kill himself.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're like really glorified. I just think it was kind of odd you used that as an advertisement. I think
It was
Dianna
odd.
was just surprised. You were just like, weren't you
I
just
told him not to.
you were just using he was just recording you as you were reading the dialogue from the book, right? You guys
Right.
Right,
were like
right,
kind of play acting out the dialogue,
hmm
exactly.
which is really wow. That's an actually good way of doing things as far as writing dialogue. I'm wondering how many comic book creators are doing that, where they're actually going through there, and is this okay? I guess there is a writer's show that a certain person produces. Never mind.
Well, no, but what's fantastic is my wife
Good idea,
does it,
though.
right? So we sit
Yeah.
together, and she'll read the script, and even when she reads something incorrectly, I'll stop. Did that say that, or did it say this? And she goes, "Oh yeah, I misread it." But sometimes she'll read it, and I'll stop her because I know what I wanted to say, and it said something slightly different. And hearing another person read it allows me that opportunity to hear it, which is different than just reading it myself.
hmm
It's very useful. I think anybody creating, especially a comic, that's a great way to hear what you're actually putting out there.
hmm
So does Dianna? Do you ever? Oh wait. Who am I asking the question to? Chris or
I don't
Dianna?
know.
Oh, both of you. For something where
That was so
Dianna
funny.
goes and she says something by mistake, but it ends up being clearer than like maybe.
Well, we run into things all the time, whether it's wording that she doesn't like or it's something that she would like to have added. And at that point, we go into editor writer, and we
but
literally
it's never anything like by mistake that this is just
not particularly. No, it's because
okay.
she's quite intelligent and like. There's a point in, like, for instance, in the dialogue where I said Cyclopean was going through the gruel of graduation. And she was like, graduation isn't a gruel, it's a classwork.
Oh,
We
good
had a
Lord,
debate
yeah.
on it over and over. Every time we read the book, she says it to me, and I'm like, nope, that's one I want in there. I like that one.
Yeah.
But other things she'll recommend, and we go right with it. But we actually discuss it.
What did you say about graduation?
Well, I said it's a gruel. Getting
Oh.
to graduation is a gruel.
And then what was Diana's?
I said it sounded like the graduation was a gruel, but he was referring to the years in high school. When I read it,
Oh, yeah,
when I
yeah.
read it, it sounds like the line is talking about the graduation, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
talking about the gruel of high school.
Oh,
And
well,
the way it's
I think that's
written,
how ambiguous English can be.
it is
'Cause I
very
think
much so.
I
But
think
we get into little
you can
things
see
like
both
that.
ways.
Hmm.
It's funny though. It's just like the Bible. Anything written, people will debate, but we don't lose ourselves in it.
No, I just
Most
try to
times I
get my
concede.
way.
Yeah, most times I concede, but that's because, and listen up, writers. A good writer listens to his editor. They're there for a reason. If they're telling you you got to change something, absolutely.
Hmm.
Unless
What
it's like,
about what about getting to? I don't know how somebody would even phrase it otherwise, though. Getting through school to graduation was a girl. Yeah,
No,
this
I wanted
still doesn't
him
sound
to
right.
say. I wanted him to say something about the grueling years of high school led to a successful graduation or some silly thing like that. I don't even remember. But I
Yeah, that
wanted
I
him
can
to
see
make
why
it
that could be
clearer.
difficult to get to sound natural.
But that's just one line. We have a lot of fun with that,
yeah,
you
and
know.
and I think anybody who's doing it should find themselves at least a read partner, because hearing it aloud changes a lot. Like one of the
Hmm.
things we catch all the time,
Hmm.
and we make a point not to, is people using the same word too soon. So like they'll say, I don't know, a good example might be they're talking about a school, so they'll say someone has to go to school in order to get to the graduation, and while they're in the school, they got to go do this, and then when they're at the school, and instead of using other words to say the school, they end up repeating school like 3 or 4 times, and like it drives Diana nuts.
Hmm.
And it's helped my style of writing because comics get too wordy. That's kind of like a problem.
Is
Hmm.
there a synonym for school? I mean, I'm pretty
No,
sure
but you can refer to it in
there
different ways.
probably is,
The
but
building, or instead of saying the
yeah.
school, you might say the school. Like you might say the office, implying the
Oh,
school.
okay, yeah, yeah.
And
Like you can
especially when you're
specify the
doing
location.
sequential art, like you have to be careful not to use too many words and cloud the art telling you the story too.
Yeah.
Like if I can show definitively a character throwing away a ripped up piece of paper in a trash basket, I don't have to tell the reader.
Yeah, yeah. I heard that's a rookie mistake with some comic creators make, or even some veteran comic book creators who don't have an editor. Well, they'll have an editor, but maybe not a
Well, I think
very
way
good
back
one.
when Stan Lee did it quite a bit, which is why a lot of beginners do it. But yeah, you don't need to. And he didn't do it his whole career. It was very early in the beginning when Marvel was just starting.
Oh yeah,
He would say stuff that like should have been obvious by the way Kirby had drawn it.
Hmm.
oh, so maybe that was that he started off and they're like looking at those old comics and they're which some of them are really fun from that. Some of the the old school comics are really fun, but yeah, they not necessarily going to be when he was his best.
Well, the whole balance of it really is storytelling versus fine art. Like how far do you want to go with it? Like you've talked about the guy who ruined Kirby's pencils before, but he was just meeting a deadline.
Yeah, yeah, like he'd actually erase stuff. There'd be a bunch of people in the background, a bunch of.
But here's the thing: Jesus loved even those guys.
Well, the thing is just like he was just yeah. The thing is, he was hired because he was meeting a deadline. However, I think there was some science fiction stuff where he was like erasing so much that I think even was it Marvel was like that we need to hire a different guy because he's just erasing too much of the technology. I think it was.
I don't doubt it.
I can't even think of the series. But I think
So
I could see how I could see why they liked the guy because they needed to put the books out. Otherwise, the customers would get really upset.
it's the whole old the show must go on routine.
Yeah, they wouldn't have anything to sell, I guess. That's probably their bottom line, but probably the customers were happy getting a book each month or every couple of weeks or whatever.
Well, a lot of times you don't know what you got when you never saw it in the first place. So the only people who would know that he was taking stuff out definitively would be Kirby and the editor.
Yeah. And the guy
So
that erasing the people,
Yep.
the erasable people.
Yeah, they apparently have like it sounds like they might have made like photocopies of some of the stuff, or because they have like examples of before and after, so that's good.
So we should segue that back to God chat.
I'm telling you guys, I literally was sitting here and I'm like, I love this conversation. It's extremely interesting. But remember what we said at the beginning, how it's so hard to stay focused on Jesus in our daily lives because we have so much stuff going on in our daily lives, not bad stuff, just stuff. And here we are having this wonderful conversation all about comics, which he's connected to because he works through us, which still in the sense, yes, we are still talking, but yeah, let's focus on
I was going to
something
do a
like,
cool segue.
oh, I'm sorry.
So
Cool.
watch this. Ready? Let me do a cool segue. Ready?
Go ahead. Do
so
it.
like those guys that were erased, when we
What?
judge people, it's like we erase them from our lives, and we ought not do that because God has put them in our paths to not only marvel in the beauty of their creation and who they are, but to help sometimes, whenever they need a friend or somebody like that.
Oh my God.
That was a segue.
I see this.
Don't erase people, Dianna.
I won't. I usually
Love
don't.
them.
I think we're just marveling at that.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so fresh.
I
Oh
tried
my
to lay it
God.
on there because seriously, though, like
No, it's all it's good. It's fine. I'm not complaining or upset. I was just like,
I know you need to be the director because you keep me on focus, and you can tell that the three of us don't stay on focus very well.
no, you were doing fine, honey. You were fine. And it's interesting now that I noticed the other people that were posting and asking all these questions are no longer asking questions when you didn't share the StreamYard.
Yeah, they left.
Or did they?
Well, I
That was
watched viewership bounce down, and I'm sorry for that, guys. If you watch this from rerun,
yeah, but
but
we
if I
just
think you're going to flash a penis on the screen, if I think you're going to come in and yell the N word,
Mhm.
if I don't know you, then it's hard for me to invite you.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you do want in, let us know in the chat. We can exchange Facebook or Twitter, and we can give you a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really weird when that person kept coming on my show. They kept going. They kept going on the panel, and they had some sort of voice machine. It's just like cranked up all the way. This text to speech thing, yelling the N word. I mean, they weren't yelling it, but the program was, and it was like,
Right.
and
Well,
Daniel's half deaf, and so he's got to use headphones, and he got like a real headache after that.
Hey, by the way, we're at like 8:44.
Yep.
So before we go too much further, I do want to say God bless Daniel. Heal him, keep him in your prayers.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he has a heart condition. He's not developing superpowers. That was
I
my
don't know
hope.
if you wanted that revealed publicly, though.
Well, I just blew it. Although I didn't say his full name, so okay.
Okay.
I meant Stan.
Stanley.
Yeah, he can get mad at me. I'll apologize to him if that's bad, but he has an ailment, and I'm praying for him. So
Okay.
I wouldn't have said it if I don't care. So I hope he's all right with it. I'll ask him sooner or later. I'll be like, dude, I just said something. But the good news is we only have 3 viewers, so it's not like I didn't say that, but it's true. Like I can see.
What if all 3 of them were Clippers?
What do you mean?
And they just clip this, and
from the
I don't,
Well-
I don't think it'd make for an
from the LA
entertaining clip.
Clippers basketball players.
So there you go.
Well, I'm
So-
pretty sure one of them's not because I'm one of the ones that I've got it still on playing. I've got it
Cool.
muted.
But I don't mind if people clip because maybe we can talk about God with them someday. things out of context.
So that wouldn't make them a loser to clip that part?
No, not at all.
Do you see what I just did?
No, not at all.
You just brought it back to the topic.
Oh, there you go.
It was a callback. I guess what's
Yeah, I
called.
got it. That was nice. Yeah, the callback.
It's just like you were like even
Don't
even
erase
God
the
loves the person who erased Kirby's work.
As angry
Oh,
as we all
gosh.
are at him.
Yeah. He wasn't necessarily a loser. He just
Hmm.
maybe went a little too far to save time.
Hey, he was making an editorial decisions,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, editors need to be jerks like that at times.
Yeah, it wasn't an editor; it was an inker. But still,
Yeah, it was an anchor, and it was kind of like when you go to someone's house for a barbecue, and they got like all these like great chicken and great hamburgers, and you want a hot dog, and he reaches in, and it's like one of those cheap, yucky ones. It's chicken, pork, and beef, and it's like got a fake skin on it, and yeah, it smells funny. You're like, you
Well,
cheaped out on the hot dogs. Seriously, you need
well,
to
if
give
it
me
was
good hot dogs.
if it was the Inca, then he was just simply trying to
Shave
cheat
time
on
for a
the
lot.
work. Yeah, not have to do quite as much work.
Yeah. But they kept hiring him because he like always made his deadline. So
Yeah. Well, they probably didn't know he was erasing stuff at first.
yeah,
you know-
who knows? It's
you know
a
that guy-
corporate.
that guy-
Marvel's a corporation. They might have. But
Well, yeah, and they're kind of changing everything. The whole world right now is kind of flip floppy. It's a hard like. I tweeted it today, but like the biggest thing that blows my mind is now I think that women that are ugly. No, I won't say it. I better not say it, huh?
what the hell?
Please don't.
Well,
don't.
sorry, I didn't mean to swear. But what
That's
the
being
heck?
not no.
Oh no, that's
I
I
think
get
that
a
women that are ugly are
disavow
beautiful.
and
He's that. I
think
can't
they're
even think.
beautiful.
I think they're all
Well-
beautiful. Everybody's beautiful.
Yes, I just get confused about other stuff. I'm weird.
Chris.
so what about those losers you were talking about?
They're beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
We've got a lot of them in Canada, so we need to be praying for them.
The thing, yeah. The thing of it is you Canadians really, you Canadians. I'm sorry to phrase it that way, Rick. No, Canada really needs to like kind of just kind of market itself a little bit better. I mean, like, well, there are a lot of the great comedians and musicians and all sort of athletes come from Canada, and yet hardly anybody knows much about Canadian culture. It's like they think of it as being part, like, just like kind of like America, but not. But just the place that's like America, but not America. So.
But more what I mean is, a lot of our politicians are being jerks right now. And,
Yeah. That's constant in any
and
around
but
the
I
world.
mean, and the fact is, and the lockdowns and all that, like right now, Canada is slowly becoming China.
Yeah, have you had pastors get in trouble?
Oh yeah,
Like,
we've got
there
two.
recently?
I'm not in this area, but in Alberta, which is closer in the western part of Canada, there's 2 or 3 churches underground, meeting in secret.
Well, even with the vaccine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's I got vaccinated. I got both of my shots. The Pfizer one, the second time around, and I don't know if it's related. Next day, I got sick to my stomach, and felt that way most of the day until then I drank some yogurt, and then my stomach felt better. But yogurt typically helps my stomach.
I did the Pfizer too, and it got me for 3 days. But now they're saying that if you had COVID before you got the vaccine, which I did, that the side effects of the vaccine could be more severe, which they were. But I need it, and I'm alive, and now I'm super powered against COVID according to the science.
Is there any way this fits in with the title of the show?
Yeah, because if it does eat my brain away, I'm a loser, and Jesus will still love me.
Oh no, I don't think that.
Hey,
That's what
Yeah.
I've heard. The risk of the vaccine is that it could eat our brains and make us basically all kind of senile. And I'm like, well,
Why?
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I read too much.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff, and I don't think this
Yeah.
counts as science, like
Well, that's
scientific
not
or
confirmed science.
or
That's
doctor's advice.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Hey,
have to.
Speaking of doctors, did you know Luke was a physician?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So you're like, do we actually even know that for sure, or is that just kind of a tradition?
Yeah, I saw his business card in one of the old
Yeah, because some people say that part where the Jesus is sweating and his sweats like drops of blood, which the Mormons actually claim is the atonement, but some people say that's actually like kind of like what is it, like almost like a literary trope like that the Greeks would use
It could certainly be like
for like he's
I would
preparing
define
for
I
something.
would call it like a romanticizing of the moment. You know, like when
Yeah.
if it wasn't blood, which I will not rule out because I'm like, I don't know, Jesus is like the Son of God. It could have been blood.
Well,
If it was just romanticizing, it's still a wonderful passage because it gets the point across, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it was trying to emphasize a point. You know, he very well could have been sweating. Though.
there are doctors that say that, there are actual medical people alive and all that will say that it's possible that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So it could have literally happened. I would believe it would be literal. I don't think it would be figurative. Or
Well, yeah. I mean, it is possible. But
The best part about
it didn't
the
say it
Bible,
was just sweat though, not actual blood. That was sweat. That was kind of like, I don't know.
yeah, it's weird, and translations will confuse, and scholars will differ, but
Yeah, and
we all know the main point of the story, and that's really the beauty of the Bible. Like, there's so many translations and so many different ways to look at it that it's almost like a big fishing net. Whether you're caught in the middle or on the edge, when Jesus gets you, you're caught. That's it. He's got you. And actually, he's had you all along since before you were born, but you're aware that he's finally got you, you know?
Oh, and that's the great thing is nowadays, thanks to language and all that, people knowing languages and all that, we can go back to like the Greek, and people can go back to it and study it and see what it means and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the Strong's Concordance when I first got into Bible studies, and that was my favorite for a long time. And then I found all the different dictionaries and online services, and
yeah.
God is definitely allowed for plenty of tools to get deep into His Word if that's what people choose to do.
Yeah.
But the most beautiful thing is when all that comes to life in the person. It's almost like reading about planting a seed and watching it grow, and then actually planting a seed and watching it grow. The difference is incalculable. Like I can read about how to plant a tomato plant and get all excited by reading it and going, oh, if I do this and this, then the plant's going to come and ooh, look, eventually I'll have a tomato. But actually doing it, isn't that like so much better? So when we read the Bible, it's really cool. But when that stuff starts happening,
Yeah.
oh, God is so good.
Hey, honey.
Yes, love.
Imposter, pister, pastor. Why are you like this? They posted a comment. I don't
I
know
am
what.
like this because he loved me first.
There
Does
you
that
go.
make sense?
Mhm.
I'm still trying to figure out his previous. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm going to pull something up real quick if I can.
Because
Find it.
he asked, is sweating a holy risen supportation? What's supportation? Or bow? I don't even know what this means.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he was saying there. So
It's like
let me tell you a secret of my Bible reading, especially when I was much younger.
Mhm.
Whenever I got to a passage I didn't understand,
Yeah.
I read through it and didn't worry about it. So when I see this, I'm like, is sweating a holy risen supportation, or so I'm gonna think, or is supposed to be or bad, and I'm thinking, is sweating a holy something risen?
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there, and
Yeah. Okay, brother imposter, if you're still there, we have no clue what you mean. But I am like this because honestly, God made himself apparent to me. Jesus made himself apparent to me. I actually put his name to the test in a prayer, and something miraculous happened. And when that happened, it changed everything, because at that point, I could no longer say, yeah, it's all in my head, or, people are just making it up, or
Right.
I actually am not as blessed as someone who believes without seeing, because I actually saw Jesus in my world just sort of say, "Oh yeah, watch me do this," and then you tell me whose side you're on. Like you can't see Jesus, in my opinion, and then walk away from him without knowing that you saw him,
Mm-hmm.
and without it changing you permanently. It does. It changes your whole world.
Well,
well, one interesting topic. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say, sort of on the topic thing, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we can know God loves jerks because he uses them all throughout Scripture. A bunch of the disciples were, of course, like Peter. But, think back to Jacob. This guy swindled his brother out of his birthright for a bowl of soup.
Heck yeah. Even the good ones, even the guys you would think, are okay, like Joseph. If you don't know which one I mean, Joseph in the rainbow jacket, rainbow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't let his brothers know who he was. It made them think that they were going to get, killed because
But
of
yeah,
planting, evidence on their one brother.
I always thought Joseph was like really stupid. I'm like, dude, your brothers are already jealous, and here you are. Y'all are gonna bow before me. I'm like, oh, you're asking for a butt whipping.
Did Rick say that Jacob, the inheritance thing was about a bowl of soup? Did I miss that, or did I get that wrong?
No.
When Esau was out working the field or whatever, Jacob was in. He even had made some soup. Esau comes in and says, "Hey, I want a bowl of soup," and Jacob says, "Well, maybe if you give me your birthright."
Oh, that's how he did that. It wasn't.
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
story where the person ended up. There was one person who ended up wearing like some sort of fur, and
Yeah, well,
his brother was hairy.
Same guys.
The same guys. That's later on to get that. That's to get the blessing of his dad. His mom helps him, dress up like his brother to steal.
Yeah, come on, you
the
don't think that
blessing.
guy was a jerk once, right? He was a jerk a couple of times.
Well,
So God does love jerks.
So wait, is Jacob the one who becomes Israel?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's that's the origin of Israel.
Yeah.
The Israelite people.
Part of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Remember, we all came from dirt, brother.
So what is the whole? Why would God bless that? Why would God? I could see somebody the way the patriarch would the father or whatever.
Why would
why would the heavenly Father do that?
Why would he allow that?
Yeah,
because I believe it's foreshadowing how things really have gone. Israel are the chosen people of God, and yet they rejected Christ, and he gave himself for the whole world, not just the Jew, but the Gentile as well.
So that's always something I kind of wondered about, though. What percentage of the Jewish people were actually in, like, say, what was it? Where was the crucifixion? Was that Jerusalem?
Yeah,
that was Jerusalem, right? Like Golgotha.
I have no idea. I just assumed.
Yeah. So, what percentage of the Jewish people actually even knew about Jesus at the time?
I just think it was every Jew represented, because.
So that's something I've always struggled with. That's what I've always struggled with is, and also Jesus, and also it was, promised in the Bible that the Messiah would do a bunch of things that Jesus, and it's like Jesus ends up dying, and it's like, well, he's going to do this when he returns. So I can kind of see why Jewish people just see Jesus as kind of one of the long lists of false messiahs.
Well,
Yeah,
I
well,
can kind of see their point on that. Why they,
there is a
so
reason.
I wouldn't blame a Jewish person for.
they had stuff that they thought he was going to do that wasn't scriptural as well, from what I've learned. I'm not sure whether you guys have heard of Chosen. It's a biblical TV type series that's been going on.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
It's done by the same people. Well, not the same people, but the son of one of the people that did the Left Behind series.
Okay.
You can find the first season on YouTube to watch, and part of the second season you can get an app on your phone, The Chosen, to watch it. It's really, really good. I would recommend. I
Yeah,
highly
that sounds
recommend.
interesting. Yeah,
It shows how like Peter can be a jerk, or Matthew, or all of the disciples can be jerks.
Yeah.
that sounds interesting. Yeah,
Well,
I just always thought that was kind of. I do think it's kind of interesting though, because so the Messiah is prophesied to, like, I guess all the lost tribes, I think, are supposed to come back.
Yeah.
And the Messiah is supposed to like rule as a king, whereas Jesus was setting up like a religious community, right? Or he had all these apostles we had the apostles and disciples and stuff following him around, but the Jewish people were expecting a king.
Jesus was more or less the Son of God and their rabbi, meaning their teacher. Now, in Jewish culture, this is according to the rabbi who teaches me all the stuff that I believe. Well, not all of it, but you know what I mean. He's basically taught me the theology that I've been following. When a rabbi takes students, disciples, or more or less the apostles that I'm speaking of here, he takes them not to just teach them. He takes them to make them like him, so they can spread the message exactly as he spreaded it. And this is something I guess is prevalent in Judaism when a teacher, a priest takes students. The goal is to make them just like themselves. So the rabbis, it's not like going to a college where the teacher's not trying to make you like them. They're trying to teach you a subject. So the disciples, they're supposed to be like carbon copies, more or less, and that's supposed to be what's reflected in us throughout the ages, and it's all supposed to be kept in check with the Holy Spirit. But we live in dark times, man, and I think a lot of people, it's all of us have our times where it's hard to hear what God is really saying. There's so many distractions and spiritual forces. And I'm going to say it. I don't know what cell phones and electricity and microwaves and all these things, I don't know what they actually do to the spiritual side of creation. But it would be foolish to think that we're not doing anything that is going to get us in trouble. Like, we don't understand what we're doing in this whole thing. And
it definitely is a big distraction. And it's probably not the most ecologically positive thing. Either.
You know that like cell phone towers are claimed to have something to do with the troubles that the bees have had, right? You've heard that. So it's considered a conspiracy theory by most, but there's a theory that cell phone towers have affected the bees and their natural habitats and how they.
Oh, you were saying something about that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know really. I know. I guess with humans, it might not be. I don't know much about the bees.
That's true. Just assume that's true for the sake of conversation. Yeah. This one, that's kind of like what I'm saying with the signals that we put out there in our technologies. We don't know if that's like, scaring off angels who are sent to protect us, or if it's attracting demons that are supposed to be cowering in caves, or if it's blasting away at some sort of force that holds the earth together.
But I think it's definitely making people more irritable when they're kind of getting more addicted to things, which and I admit that's I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm not saying there's plenty of people who they might just use their cell phone and you might just occasionally text somebody or call somebody, but there's a lot of people who, with all this technology, they're just getting distracted from what's important in life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's a great way to explain it too, because in a much more material way, I can show the same thing with comic books. When I make a comic, like for instance, I drew all weekend long and did approximately 17 pages of full script and breakdown, right? Like now I have to go back and clean them up and fix them.
Uh-huh.
But
that's awesome.
I stayed off of Twitter. I stayed off of Facebook, and I focused on the art. And it's the same thing with God. If you can focus in that hard, you can get a lot of pages with the Lord.
Oh, speaking of pages,
distractions in, like you're saying, it messes you up. It will slow you down, if nothing else.
So, is it true that you have an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter campaign or something?
Yes, Cyclopean's running right now, and you can catch that on Kickstarter. We have.
And what's a Cyclopean?
Cyclopean is our superhero character, our one-eyed character. The thing about bringing him into this conversation is I can't do it without explaining that the book is not Christian, but Christianity is in the book, and there is a journey for Cyclopean. But it's not like something. It wouldn't be like a chick track, and it's not like
but does he run across any losers or jerks or?
There's a few in there.
Okay.
Hey, by the way, thank you for I think you retweeted it. You at least liked it for the Stinger Queen. That's probably going to be her name. She's still in development.
Oh, yeah. Did I? I don't know the names of the characters. I saw some really cool stuff.
It was the girl with the pointed wings and the green bikini.
Whatever it was, I liked and I retweeted because there's some good stuff.
Well, she's actually someone that is going to be battled now. Something Dianna noticed that was cool is my characters all have to do typically with sensation and what did you call it?
I said communication and senses. Like it's all about they have unique ways to communicate.
Is there like a link to that? I mean, I guess there's something a place called Kickstarter and it's on there.
I see what you're trying to do, brother. Hang on, I will post that at some point here.
Yeah, because seriously, I haven't backed it yet. I've actually encouraging people to back it, but I don't know. I didn't see any sort of way. I don't know how to get say a second book if there's an add-on or if I.
But
just double the price or how I would do that.
We haven't done much special except for the buy a book for a kid campaign with it.
If I wanted a second one, there's not a way of. I noticed there wasn't a way of adding on, and so I'm like, I
haven't done anything like that because you know what's weird for me? It's weird. And I gotta stop thinking like this. It's weird that people buy more than one book.
Yeah, but I'm buying it for a friend.
Right.
I gotta start.
It's kind of like how some people are buying stuff for kids. Well, I'm buying it for an adult friend.
And I don't know, but I think I've heard on Kickstarter it'll only let you buy one tier once or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I had heard. That's now I've heard the allegation that there's some. Well, I know that there's some. I know somebody has actually admitted to backing one person's book 7 times to make their campaign a success.
So you know what?
Yeah, but that could be 7
I'm just doing that. I would just want to get.
Well, I mean, after God Chat tonight, I'll get in touch with my executives.
Yeah,
add a tier or two to that extent.
Yeah. You can do what I did. Call it the Lorenzo tier.
Or you could just have one of those add-on things because I think they have that with Kickstarter as well.
They do. We actually took advantage of the add-on when we put the metal cards in. So
Mhm.
every campaign we've ever done, I've done metal cards. Jay
Yeah.
Lipson, if you're listening, brother, thank you. Jay Lipson turned me on to a printer out of Arizona called Ready Comics, and
Oh,
I got
cool.
so addicted to the look of the card and the way they come out that I've done it for every campaign since we started crowdfunding. I think
So
now
they
most
do metal cards there? Or do they do them half decent price?
well, yeah, and we can talk offline. I'll tell you all about it, but
Yeah.
it's a decent price. It works out good. It eats into our profit, but I put a card in basically every pack that I send out because that's like something I want to trademark. I want to not like I own it, but like I want people to know that if they're buying a book from us, we're going to send them something cool, and we'll probably send them something that'll set off metal detectors, which is always fun if you're like getting on a plane. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy.
I disavow that comment. That's not.
Oh my good.
Yeah, I'm gonna disavow.
But it's a fun collector's thing, and eventually, as things grow, it's going to be incredible. But yeah, so I shared the link in the chat. I don't know if it went to everything, but if you're out there and you want to join in and back it, that's great. If you want to wait until tomorrow night, that's even better because I will
Wednesday night.
speak with my editor.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night, because I will speak to my editor and adjust the tiers,
It's
the
so funny.
campaigns, the rewards. By the way, anybody who doesn't know, Dianna is my editor and my executive board. So she's hearing all this. She'll know exactly what I'm going to ask her. So it's kind of cool. We'll set up something though.
Cool.
Yeah.
That would be excellent. Yeah. So everyone, if you check out Cyclopean, do you have the link in the? Oh, you got the link in the chat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you check it out on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I think
great.
it's. I think it looks out. I think the artwork looks outstanding. You
So
know,
Lorenzo,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind, right? I've been working on number 2, and it's even cooler. It's even
yeah,
cooler.
yeah. It's like the cool thing is when people are just when they start drawing so much, it's like it's like my friends who are guitarists, even some friends of mine who would refuse to play in public, and they would just like keep practicing and practicing.
The practice.
Try out a bunch of different tunings, and
Yep. And that's why, guys, God loves you. And if you are a fellow comic book maker and you are in doubt, and I'm sure Rick will agree with me, just start doing it, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And you
Yeah.
will have a track record. When I look back and I look over the last, we're getting into year 3 here soon. I'm so blown away. And like every time we do another book, it gets a little tighter, a little better. This last one, Cluster Fudge, Critical Blast just put out like a write-up on it. And I was so touched because we started talking behind the scenes, and he was like, he had mentioned the dark ink problem, which is what I call it. I call it a problem, but he said it's actually, a hallmark of indie artists. They get too dark with their ink. But I've been working on that, and I told him, I said, well, I am working on it, and hearing it, from him helps solidify and validate that thought that I have to change the rendering and make it tighter.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of stuff, I'm so excited, like just to hear people have read it and he liked the story. So that was awesome. But to know that they've seen it and care enough to give input is just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a blessing. And I know that God's given me that gift to do it. And I know he's given it to others. So, I mean,
look at what Rick's got on a screen. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I just changed it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you had the Canadian guy up there, right? Canadian.
Yeah, Canadian Shield. This is one of the pages from number 2.
I like the glow effects on the I want to say bullets, but they could be fireflies without the context. I don't know what they are.
Well, it's just fire all around, embers. Because they're in a burning building.
Yeah, so they're embers, right?
Yeah.
They look fantastic, dude.
So the Canadian Shield's a native.
Yeah, he's Native American. Yeah. He goes into this burning building, just to stop probably trying to stop the fire or whatever. And he finds this guy that's been sleeping in the building. It's abandoned, Lightning struck it, and I guess somehow something there got on fire or whatever. And now it's raging out of control, fire. And they have a little bit of a conversation, a little bit of a tiff. Their first meeting.
We are now at 9:15, so we have to kill the chat or kill the stream in a few minutes. Really, guys, if you're watching, I want to encourage you in every way possible. You're a loser and you're wonderful. Remember, God made you perfectly, and everything on this planet, we all face the same dark world is trying to bring us all down. We all make mistakes, and seek forgiveness and give forgiveness. Giving forgiveness is one of the greatest ways to find forgiveness. It's all about changing your point of view, getting a focus on, believe it or not, on Jesus, who will actually show you the way. It all sounds cliche, but it's all real. But we got to close the stream soon, so I thought I'd say that and just offer up any final comments and prayer requests or anything like that.
Well, I'm reading the chat.
Oh yeah, let me see. Yeah, we do have something there.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to. I'm not sure what that means.
Imposter and he's funny.
Are you allowed to have your opinions, or will you just be exposed by the hating? I would say yes and yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking that.
I would say that's a yes question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the number 7?
Oh, that's
ironically, I have a fondness for the number 7 because of the difficulties in Revelation and the translations. There's one place where they say the 7 spirits of God, and other translations say the 7-fold spirit. And it's always just fascinated me. So that's my thoughts on 7. I don't know if there's a magical power. I know some people believe it's perfection and all that stuff, but I do know that in my good New Testament, it says
this is so funny.
So the next one's interesting.
There's another one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you forget about your children?
Don't you talk about your children quite a bit on here?
If
I don't have any children.
I have plenty of children, and if I'm like driving a car, I don't usually think of them, but throughout the day, I will think of them. So I don't really forget them. I just don't have them in like the RAM.
Do you remember the first subscriber?
This is a different.
Do I remember the first subscriber? No, but I do remember the first thing I subscribed to.
These are interesting questions.
My mother did it for me. It was Mad Magazine back in the
early
days. Yeah.
I remember my first subscriber myself.
Jaden Bleakney, do you remember me?
Mad Magazine quite
Chris, are these people that you know? Maybe some of your kids from school joking around with you?
I don't know, but Bleakney sounds very familiar. Yes, I actually think that is a student. But I don't know Jaden. Wait, yes, I know I know a couple of Jadens. I'm looking at the picture, and the picture looks familiar. Well, if you're watching, little dude or bigger dude, if you've grown up, God bless you, man. I hope we haven't bored you to death. These are my friends. Lorenzo is a lizard-like creature called a Sleestackian, but he's actually
Altrusian.
Yeah.
But the name of my show is the Sleestackians, Thursday nights, 8 Eastern.
And Rick makes comic books, and he's really good at it. So we're just in here talking about God. And you probably heard it because you've been around. I hope we've been quite acceptable. Catch us on Wednesday nights when we're actually supposed to talk about comic books. But you know what's funny? Lorenzo, do you realize that last Wednesday you got into a conversation with Barry about Greek and Eastern Orthodox stuff in the middle of
yeah. He thought maybe I was a Syriac Orthodox because I've been
But that's supposed to be
posting a lot of stuff about that.
That's supposed to be comic book chats, and then when we're supposed to have God chat, we're
talking comic books. Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how things got kind of reversed there. But he I believe he's Serbian Orthodox. I could have that wrong.
and I was so
These
confused.
are
I was
just
like,
kind of, huh?
I
Go
was like, well, I have an orthopedic doctor.
ahead.
Does that count?
I don't know.
Obviously, I'm being a
So
little.
yeah, I'm like I guess my bishops in the Greek jurisdiction, but we've had people from all sorts of different Orthodox churches who attend. I actually haven't even like been able to get to church in a long time.
Well, really soon, Diana and I are going to be traveling to the great state of Connecticut because in that state, our rabbi teaches.
Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, we're just going to go visit. I'm sure she doesn't even know about it. But I'm going to end
Well,
up
you
throwing
might
her in the
know.
car. I'm going to say
I
we're going
know
to Texas.
now.
Yeah.
So is he actually like also like a pastor at a more traditional church?
Okay, so the story with him is I do like Mario Brothers. The story with him is he was a Messianic rabbi when I met him in Rhode Island. He
Yeah.
went away to Haiti and ran an orphanage.
Oh,
And then
okay.
he came back and he was looking for a place just to do his Sabbath observances, right? And everywhere he went, he kind of got the door shut and closed and whatever. And finally, he found one congregational church. And
Oh,
the guy said, "Sure,
congregational.
you can come in on
Huh.
Saturdays." So he started coming in on the Sabbath, and Shabbat Shalom, things started working out. And next thing you knew, um, to make a Reader's Digest story of it, the pastor that was there was leaving, I believe retiring. And they said, Rabbi Peter, would you guide our sleigh tonight? And Peter said, of course. And his nose grew red, and he started doing both Saturday and Sunday services.
So this is interesting. So they're Congregationalists, but I guess Congregationalists are kind of congregational based. So
It's a
I
God
wonder if that
thing.
means
They are
that they're able
Congregationalists.
to get people from different.
On Sundays, they're Congregationalists led by a pastor who is Messianic, but has a vast
Oh,
appreciation for their approach to Jesus. On Saturdays,
interesting.
he's doing Messianic observance with an appreciation for the Jewish viewpoint on Jesus, which many
It's
people have
interesting. So I
different
didn't know the
views on.
Congregationalists were. Um,
I don't think it's an official marriage of religion.
okay.
I think it's more of an independent church that has
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
recognized. Because I have to tell you, okay, we're not talking about like a guy who sold Hondas who's also selling Toyotas on the side. We're talking
Yeah.
about a true man of God who, when you are in his presence, the Holy Spirit is between the two of you. Jesus said two or more are present. He's definitely one of the good batteries that when you're with him, you feel the Lord's presence. The Lord comes amongst you, and he's nothing but love.
So
I've
my only point was a lot of Christian religions or denominations or
never
whatever one
out
wants
for
to
him,
call
right?
them. It's like they'll have to have like formal agreements with like say the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America has an agreement with the
Yeah,
Episcopal Church, or with
yeah,
the Orthodox churches. They'll sometimes have other Orthodox priests. I mean,
yeah.
priests from
Like a
other Orthodox
union or something.
jurisdictions, but
It's actually Comicscape for churches, right? They have different groups, and they're
it's
like,
something like
"You're
that.
not certified for this union. You
So
must
I
go
think
to
that's
so and so
interesting, though.
union."
But then again, I don't know if Congregationalists truly are congregation based. That could be a different situation. I don't really
Oh
know
yeah,
much about the
I
faith.
gotta catch up on the chat here, bro. Hang on. All right.
Oh yeah.
Do you farm tomatoes? We actually try to. I think we've been successful.
Oh, that's
I
a Fort. I
do.
think that's a Fortnite
It's
meme.
just a supportive Alex stream. We use Google Home. I don't think we have Alex. Um, we are on Alex computer friend. We are on Alex computer friend. God bless you, friend. Jaden, do you hate Christmas? I did. That is the funniest story. So I used to hate Christmas. In fact, when I first met Miss Diana here, I
Oh
refused to have
yeah.
Christmas trees. I refused to have angels with halos. I didn't like decorations. I was evil about Christmas. But over the last 15 years, I have softened my position because Jesus just said, yo, everybody's having a good time. Stop being a jerk. You know, there are aspects about Christmas I don't like, but I don't frown on any of it because the Lord can use everything for His glory, and He does. Am I an Apple? I actually am an Apple. If you mean computers, I use Apples. I also use PCs and Linux, but the Apple environment is a wonderful place. I like Windows 10 as well, and you know, Ubuntu is wonderful. So yeah,
These are
yes,
some pretty
I'm Apple.
creative questions today.
Well,
I think they're messing with us.
So
It's-
can I?
I don't hate Christmas, and yeah, Chris is an apple. Diana's going to take a bite.
Yes,
All
honey.
right. Well, I was just noticing the time. That's all. I was just noticing.
Yeah, we
the
need to
time.
go. Unfortunately, I still work full time as opposed to making comics full time.
Mhm.
But it's not. Unfortunately, it's a blessing.
Well,
You know, to have a job is a blessing. People don't ever forget it because
Yeah.
it brings much more than
Especially
wealth.
day and age.
Yeah,
A lot of people aren't even allowed to. Well,
Yeah,
maybe I guess
sad,
some
and-
people.
well,
I don't know.
those who are staying home by choice, say because they're making more
Yeah,
staying home
yeah.
than they would go to work. I understand, but there's so much more involved when you go out and you work and you just get that satisfaction. At least for me, I've always enjoyed a good day's work, and then you know,
Well,
the
some
reward.
people might not be able to even work in the field that they're
Yeah,
supposed
well,
to work
some
in.
of
I
them
guess,
still
I
have
guess
remote.
there's still things shut down.
Yep, exactly. That's.
In
I
certain
guess I was
places, at
getting to
least.
that. See, we've been blessed, Diana and I, because we've been able to work throughout like all of it, either remotely or in person. And when I say in person, there's been a lot of that. So we haven't been as restricted. I guess we're considered frontline workers of sorts. We're not medical, we're educational. But
Do the schools reopen now in your area?
my particular district, we only closed twice for a 2-week period each time. We've been open the whole other time, but we offered a in school and a remote model, and we performed both daily, which was a challenge, but we ended up doing it quite well.
Huh.
yeah,
The interesting thing I heard is that that strain that we did have might not, initially in this country, might not have affected children as much. Though I
Well,
don't know if maybe the
remember
British
how
one might, but
you know how boldly I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not too afraid of COVID. One of the reasons that is because I've seen how like we went through it with a bunch of people present, and at the time, many people, held their breath and got mad. And when people did, when one kid would get it, there was a big outrage, or another kid get it. But the point is,
kids
made
were
it,
able, kids were able to get the previous strain. I don't know if the new one's more. But now they have the vaccine.
Now again, I read a lot.
So I'm going to jump in here, guys, because
we're getting off
I
topic.
have
Sorry.
to go. No, I'm falling asleep. I got to go.
Oh, yeah.
You
later.
on the show like that.
You guys keep chit-chatting away. But
No,
I'm
we're
gonna
good.
say-
I didn't want to get into that topic anyway.
I have
Yeah, and besides, I don't want to go into
Controversial, and I don't know anything, really know much about it anyway.
No,
So,
it's
listen,
totally fine,
okay.
but I'm tired. So
So
I'm
we
gonna go
love you
then.
guys, and
God
God
bless
loves
you
you,
all.
and we wish everybody a wonderful week and a blessing. And yeah,
We'll
honey, do you have
see you
anything
next
to add?
time. Nope. Just God bless you guys. It's been fun, a very
God bless
interesting
you.
conversation, and we'll
It-
see you Wednesday night for Hero Shack Chronicles. If you're not doing much of anything.
So, by the way, does Rick have Rick? Are you streaming sometimes?
Yeah, I stream every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On what?
Across
Is it-
comics.
Yeah, but where's that? Is that YouTube and Twitch, or
Yeah, well, just YouTube.
oh, just
And then,
YouTube?
On Thursdays,
Oh.
I do a stream on Odyssey.
Where is
Alright.
that?
Odyssey.
Odyssey. So you don't stream on like Twitch anymore?
No, not at the moment.
Interesting. Yeah, I stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. But the problem with that is I don't know if we get viewers from Twitch and Facebook or just YouTube. And Hervolier has been promoting the heck out of my Twitch, and I don't know if we're actually getting viewers from there.
I'm
Well,
sure
you
you
can
are.
go over and look at your stats or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't really know much about Twitch, so
I'm
Yeah.
adding it. God bless you guys.
God bless everyone.
God bless.